Madam Moderator, thank you. We have a couple of items to bring before the Presbytery for formal action. Before we do that, I simply want to direct your attention to the background material if you haven't seen it. There is much more right with the Presbytery of the Cascades than there is wrong. There are many more good things happening in the Presbytery of the Cascades than we sometimes realize. And your Board of Trustees is seeking to support the life of the Presbytery in those efforts. Our Book of Order says that all of the assets that we own, all of the property is to be used as a tool for the ministry of Jesus Christ in the world. And that's what your Board of Trustees is supporting the Presbytery to do. And so in your background papers, you will see the bulk of what has been done by the trustees on behalf of the Presbytery. And the list goes on and on of the kinds of things that are being done in the Presbytery in the service of the ministry of Jesus Christ in so many ways through the various grants and other actions that the Board of Trustees takes to support congregations in doing innovative ministry, in thinking ahead, in thinking outside the box, in the way they use their property and make adjustments in their own resources and assets to be faithful to the ministry of Jesus Christ. So if you haven't yet, take a moment and just look even at the bold font of the list of things that are being done by the Board of Trustees. So 2 actions to come before the Presbytery regarding property. And the first one is to recommend that the Presbytery sell the property known as 0 Locust Street in Oakland, Oregon. That's the motion.
Thank you. The motion comes from a commission or a board, does not need a second. It is moved that the Presbytery sell the property known as 0 Locust Street, Oakland, Oregon for $50,000. Is there discussion?
Josh. That's not my job, that's your job.
And I'm just going to gracefully say go.
Joshua Dunn, minister member of Covenant Presbyterian Church in Gresham. Is that better? Yes. Yeah. Okay. Also co-chair of the new ministries team. As I was not able to read it in the packet, I just wanted to share that new ministries team did make a recommendation for this property, and that recommendation is not what is being presented here. So I just wanted to make sure that was part of the minutes, that the ministry recommendation of the new ministries team is this is not part of it. So this is separate. This is the trustees acting separately from our recommendation. So I just wanted to make sure that that was stated. So thank you.
And I can offer just a little word of explanation about that, and Carly might be able to help us as well. Maybe Carly, you should go first.
Carly Friesen, minister from Mount Tabor. Just a brief clarification on what Josh said. We did recommend selling the property. Okay, that's consistent. We just ended up with different buyers.
Thank you. And I can, Steve has been kind to put together a couple of slides on short notice that I didn't realize that we would need. And I wonder if Steve can show us that outline of the plat map with the, is there one with the bold outline? This is pretty good too. So what has happened is somewhere in between, actually, there is a main parcel that remains intact at this point and is not part of this motion. There is a little chunk of it on the edge that is the subject of this motion. And so it is this little chunk that is being sold. Which one? The red circle in the upper right hand. So and from the previous picture, in case you haven't been to the property, in the previous picture, it's kind of laid on the side of a hill, and the church the church building's had a parking lot on the lower level and a parking lot on the upper level, and this chunk of property in question is adjacent to the lower area. And it leaves the bulk of it available and open for sale separately. And the new ministries team had done some research and found that there was some need in the community for a community center. A buyer had been interested in that For a variety of reasons, that deal didn't work out. But the hope is still that this larger part of the parcel can be sold for use benefiting the community in some particular way, community center, housing. So that's still what we hope for. And I might simply add that the process has been a little bumpier than we had intended, and we've learned some lessons from it about how new ministries team and trustees coordinate and cooperate, and we have some ideas for improving the structure surrounding that to help us to move more efficiently and incorporate the vision for our various properties more fully as we move forward. But it's new territory for us, and we're learning lessons as we go along.
I'm Brad Kent. I wonder, do we know what the buyer is intending to do with that property?
Build a home.
A home.
The buyer is and I don't know how many of these details to go in. The buyer is a member of the community, and is known by people in the area, period.
Are you ready to vote? The vote is on this motion that the Presbytery sell the property known as 0 Locust Street in Oakland for $50,000. Those in favor of the motion say yes.
Yes.
Those opposed say no.
No.
The yeses have it. The motion is adopted, and the property at 0 Locust Street will be sold for $50,000. Jeff, next.
The second item for action is that the trustees recommend that Presbytery authorize the Board of Trustees on behalf of the Presbytery of the Cascades to sell the property at 201 Southeast 8th Street, Oakland, Oregon, which is the big part, and the building. And what this does, as you see from the rationale, the church operates in one world, and the real estate and business operate in a different world, and we need to have some flexibility in order to implement the will of the presbytery and yet do it in the world of real estate and banking and those kinds of things. So this gives the presbytery, gives the Board of Trustees flexibility to act on behalf of presbytery in an efficient and timely manner.
The motion comes from the board and doesn't need a second, so that is the motion in front of you. Is there discussion?
Linda Stewart, Kalen, minister, member serving the Presbyterian Church in the Colonial Heights neighborhood. I think all of us in the room can feel some hesitancy around sell for what purpose. And I appreciate that the president of the trustees was very clear about what the purpose is. And I would hope that we would not make a sale of property in order to build our cash reserves, liquid assets, in a way that the community of Oakland would feel that the Presbyterian Church neglected the well-being of the community. And by that I don't mean that they want a community center, we need to sell it for a community center, but the Presbyterian Church, yes, when they left town, they left us with a strip mine in the middle of the community. No one is thinking the trustees will do that, but I think we just need to just say real clearly, we trust the trustees to use it for the purpose that New Ministries has been encouraging, that we have been talking about for the reign of God, and that we trust them to do that because we have elected them, they are us.
The trustees take your point.
Lauren?
Lauren Bostwick, interim at Westminster, Salem. I would like to suggest that we amend this motion to say with the concurrence of the New Ministries Committee.
Is there a second?
Second.
So the reason why I'm suggesting this amendment is that it gives us as presbytery an opportunity to have the trustees make this decision in relationship to the best use of the property. And they're supposed to be consulting with new ministries in the first place before they sell a piece of property. And we just heard that they had an idea to sell this whole property, and it just seems like it would be a good idea for them to still be in the mix as the trustees consider this property.
Is there other discussion on the motion to amend?
Hi, Jeff Bender, pastor of Valley Communing in Portland. I'm actually serving on the Board of Trustees, so I'll admit that I am partial with this conversation. The amended motion sounds like you are lacking trust within your trustees who have already been prescribed to have conversations with that same committee. So it just seems a little bit redundant and lacking trust, and personally a little insulting.
If I might speak to the motion?
Yes, please.
Or to the amendment. I appreciate Jeff's comment. The new ministries team and Board of Trustees are in continuing conversation about how to improve the way we cooperate and consult in these kinds of situations. The amendment may simply provide, if you will, legislative impetus to that continuing conversation, and so I think that it could be helpful, and yet, as Jeff said, I don't know that it's necessary, but it might be helpful.
Matt Johnson, pastor at First Presbyterian McMinnville and a member on the New Ministries team. I speak in opposition to the amendment because the New Ministries team's perspective has already been incorporated in the guidance given to the trustees, and I wouldn't want to set a precedent for doubling back and re-including New Ministries team in decisions that just sounds really convoluted and unhelpful. So I speak against the amendment.
Is there any further discussion on the amendment? Are you ready to vote on the amendment? The amendment would add the words "with the concurrence of the new ministries team" to the motion on the screen. All those in favor of the amendment say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed to the amendment say no.
No.
The noes have it and the amendment is lost. We are back to the main motion to authorize the Board of Trustees to sell the property. Is there any more discussion on the main motion?
No.
Are you ready for the vote?
Yes.
All those in favor of the vote, or to approve the motion on the screen, say yes.
Yes.
Those opposed say no. The yeses have it, and the motion is adopted. The Board of Trustees is authorized to sell the property. Go ahead, Jeff.
Madam Moderator, the number 3 item listed has been taken care of in the consent agenda, and so it is no longer before us. So with my gratitude to the Presbytery and to the Board of Trustees, who do marvelous work on the Presbytery's behalf, this concludes our report.
Thank you, Jeff.